This is the Codcast. All things Whitby Town FC.
Hello and welcome to the latest edition. I'm Andrew Snaith and I'm very pleased to say from the Whitby Town media team, Liam Ryder joins me ahead of the first pre-season friendly. Liam, I guess it's an exciting time because we get to see and for the longest time I think I can remember that we've made this many changes in between one season and another. So lots and lots of new players that we'll be seeing for the first time on Saturday.
Yes, absolutely. The sort of summer that springs to mind, probably, I think it's one of the COVID year, wasn't it? 2020, we had quite a bit of an overhaul there with the curtailed season and a load of new names coming in, which worked very much in our favour. We've got some really good players out of that. Basically, barring Adam Gell, it's all brand new going into that game at Mass tomorrow. Obviously, Jack Norton we've had before. Other than that, a load of new faces, which I've come to recognise personally now, being to a couple of training sessions and obviously met them at the ground for their sort of photo shoots and first interviews. It'd be interesting to see them in a match environment, albeit a friendly match environment. Slightly different to what we're going to see come that first league game. Lots of chopping and changing, but equally a chance for Lee Bullock and Denny Ingram to sort of have a look at the options and try different things out. When I think really, whatever we see at Mask on Saturday, it's not at all going to be the finished article for Whitby. There'll be, whatever happens tomorrow, it's more of a training exercise, I guess. Just a bit more ride on it in terms of actually being that match environment. But being at training on Thursday evening, there's not really sort of much gone into the actual specific match prep yet. It's just a case of really get out at Mask and actually have a 11v11 match against players that aren't your own. And just see how things go, really. It's very early stages, but looking forward to it. If we can sort of say that, I guess, after last season, you do miss it, even though it's only pre-season. It's just nice to be back out there and covering matches once again.
Yeah, I was going to say, for yourself and Paul Connolly, who'll be with you up at Mask United, it'll be a chance to obviously see these players ball at feet and in a match situation for the first time, just to really see whether they're up to the standard and what we can expect, I suppose. And I guess that's the job for yourself and Paul to tell us, listening on the radio, just how those lads look, what people can expect.
Yeah, that's it. We can only call what we see on the day, can't we? And there's a few players there that we have seen play for other clubs. A lot of them, though, are sort of coming in as unknown quantities to us, I guess. But obviously Lee Bullock and Denny Ingram, who have been, both of them being very involved in the recruitment this summer, they obviously believe that the players are strong enough. And maybe it might be sort of one or two, but I think on the whole, it's going to be very much a trialist-free sort of game, which is fine by me because it's an absolute nightmare to commentate and do social media updates on. Yeah. I think it's very much going to be a sort of a set squad there, really. These are players that the management team, they want to be at the club, and they think ultimately are good enough for the level and hungry to succeed, which I think is maybe the main thing, because I know we've sort of alluded to it a few times over the summer where, the last couple of seasons we maybe had the ability, but the hunger wasn't there. I think what I've seen so far in training and what Lee Bullock's saying, the hunger is and the attitude's definitely right from the players. We just hope they've got the ability as well, but I've got no doubts that they will have the ability. I'm fully expecting that the vast majority will sort of make that transition to play for Whitby Town in the Northern Premier League nice and smooth. Yes, there's a few that come from a few leagues below, but equally, they've got to test themselves, and we've had it before. We get these players that have come from lower down and done really well for themselves. So hopefully that could continue again this season. But looking forward just to seeing them all in a not a competitive environment, but in a match scenario, and just see if we can get any sort of hints of styles of play, or maybe able to sort of adapt going into the new season.
Indeed. Let's hear from the Whitby Town manager now, Lee Bullock, who spoke to me in midweek. So, Bully, it's the final week of training, I suppose, before the friendly start. Obviously, the players will train throughout now. Just speaking off, they're very happy after Tuesday's session.
Yeah, I've just pulled up on my drive there after a really good session. I came home a happy manager. I was looking forward to getting to training tonight, and I've seen a really good session with 14 Whitby Town players, no trialists, 14 actual players. So you think of where we've came from and what's been said about us and spoken. I've just watched a really good group of players there with some new signings on board, 4 new players added to what we already had, and we had 2 lads missing as well. So potentially, if they were all there tonight, we would have had 16 Whitby Town players. So yeah, I've came home really happy with what I'm seeing and what we're building.
Yeah, just quickly to address what you said there. So, you said, considering what people have been saying, I mean, are you talking about, concerns from fans or maybe other clubs, other people in football?
No, 100% not our fans, and never. More
Yeah.
people in football, yeah, more early doors in this, what's been a long summer, and speaking to players, and they're coming out with they obviously, their managers, their coaches don't want to leave, and they're coming out, oh, you've got no players, you're not going to be able to field the team, you're going to get battered every week. Well, actually, no, it's the end of the first week of pre-season, going into the second week. Like I say, we had 16 Whitby Town players there tonight, 16 good football players. So I'm really looking forward to it, and there will be 2 or 3 more come in, maybe 4, depending on how we can work the budget, and how myself and Denny, how good we are at haggling and negotiating.
Yeah, I was going to say, so we're maybe going to hear some more about these 4 players that are going to come in and sign, presumably ahead of Saturday's game.
Yeah, they've all signed contracts tonight, so they're signed. But I don't want to steal their thunder. It's decent moves for them, and it's good moves for the club. We'll probably announce them and put them out there in the media on Friday before the AGM. They're all wanting, well, we'll train Thursday, and they're wanting to get across Friday and get the photos and do it properly. And I think they deserve it. And I think obviously the clubs they're coming from deserve it too.
Fantastic. And you said there's still possibly a few more to come in as well. I mean, are you confident fulfilling that forward role? Do you feel that's already been fulfilled?
Well, that'd be giving a bit away, but yeah, I'm no longer looking for a centre forward. Well, I am, but I've got a very good one in as well. But yeah, we'll probably need another one in to help out what we've got, and a couple in other little positions here and there.
Fantastic. So it sounds like that spine of the side, which obviously is so important to go with all these talented youngsters, is pretty much in place there. I mean, if for example there was a match tomorrow night, would you be confident with the lads you had there that you'd put in a competitive performance?
100%. From what I've seen, we'd put in a very fit, hard-working performance. We haven't done a great deal, probably next to nothing on tactics. It's all just been hard work and football. That'll come over the next few weeks. Saturday, we probably won't have done a minute's tactical work. It'll be lads going out on the pitch. I've told them they won't run on Thursday night. They'll do all football because I expect them to run on Saturday. So, and then that gives myself and Denny a few weeks to start drumming the tactics into them. But if, like, going back to the squad, I've what you're saying, the young lads, I've said tonight after training, the 3 young lads, we keep going on about them, we know who they are, Cal, Tommy and Jack.
Yeah.
Got 3 lads who are desperate to take lads' shirts. I love that. Then we've got this next group of players who are desperate to go and play leagues higher. I love that too, because the only way to do that is by being really good for Whitby. And then I've, like you say, that spine, I've got some good experienced lads in now who will set the standards and who will demand. So yeah, I've got a bit of everything, and probably need a little bit, probably one more of each section, and I'm be more than happy.
Do you know who your captain's going to be, Bully?
No, I don't yet, because I've got a few options, and we'll probably just look at it over the next couple of weeks. Like I say, we've had a whole new squad. I know Jack Norton, I know Gelly. The rest of them, the new good pros, there might be one of them. So myself and Denny, for me, that's not a massive issue. I know supporters love it, and I know players love it, but what I've seen at the minute, they're all working hard. They don't need one at this minute, but obviously myself and Denny will have a look at what we've got over the next week or two, and there's a few standing out already. But as soon as we've got it, we'll let you know. Don't worry.
Fantastic. I was going to say, obviously came in for the last few months of the season gone. You've now rebuilt the team almost completely. You sound very upbeat, very confident. I mean, is there a different vibe to the club or to the team that you're getting at the moment than maybe you didn't have last season?
Again, last season's gone now. We can never change it. But I'm just seeing it. Again, all I said it a few times I just want lads to give their all for the football club. And I'm seeing that so far, and I can live with that. Whatever happens, I'm not going to go making bold predictions, but I will predict these lads are fit and they want to do well. And at the minute, that's all I can ask. I'm coming back from every training session thinking, yeah, they've trained hard there. They've trained with what majority would expect is reasonable, good standards. They're going a little bit higher and beyond. So early signs, I'm really happy, and they're all keen to impress. That's why. But that's my job and Denny's job to not let them dip and not let them get comfortable. We've got to constantly want them to better themselves.
Fantastic. And just to look ahead specifically to Saturday's game, Mask United, first friendly, obviously almost an extension of training, I suppose, with just a couple of weeks under the belt. I mean, is it likely, maybe 11 changes at halftime? Is that likely?
Not probably 11, no, because like I said, I'm not going to run them Thursday. We're going to do football, so I want them to work hard Saturday. You get your fitness playing football, so some will get longer than others. Probably won't be 2 11s, no. And like I said earlier in one of these interviews, the trialist family is going to be a little bit disappointed because there's not many of them playing on Saturday, but there will be a couple.
This is the Codcast.
That's Lee Bullock speaking to me after midweek training and looking ahead to Saturday's game. We will, of course, return to that with Liam shortly. But I believe you've been catching up with our new commercial manager, Jim Cairns. Liam, there's lots and lots going on involving the players, but a great deal going on behind the scenes with the staff at the club as well.
Yeah, certainly are. So, supporters have probably seen the announcements about the board and committee restructure. And of course, we've had the new secretary, Paul Walker, come in as well, who's been very busy at work with a variety of things, playing matters, membership. And now we've got the commercial manager coming as well. So he's actually been sort of doing bits and bobs the last couple of weeks. It's just taken a while to actually get him up to the ground to meet him properly and get the proper photo shoot done. But really sounds promising in terms of what Jim can offer to the club. Vastly experienced in working in some pretty big companies, business development, commercial growth, partnership management, that sort of thing. So certainly a real big asset. And I think what helps as well is the fact he's, what would traditionally call sort of the exiles. He's one of those, a Whitby Town supporter moving up to Whitby imminently, which at that point then he can get really sort of hands-on with the role, go out and meet people, which I think is what we need. And if someone's got the time to commit to that, then that's great for us, because a lot of the companies he's spoken to were just about renewing sponsorship. He's had the phone conversations, and a lot of them have said that they're really sort of impressed with what they've seen about the club over recent months in terms of the news coming out of there, the changes. They think it's all positive. So hopefully that work can spread. But yeah, once he's up in town, he'll be sort of making himself a bit more known locally, going around businesses, sort of having face-to-face meetings and trying to strike some real creative deals, I think, rather than just sort of making it sponsorship of Whitby Town. It's a case of what can we offer to the sponsors as well. How can we support them? We've sort of seen it with the media sponsor we've got, Seaweed Marketing, where essentially we're offering our Whitby Town sponsors discounted social media management through Seaweed, so it works both ways. It helps the company and also the club. But yeah, I think we're sort of looking at a few other options there as well. So plenty of discussions ongoing. Really exciting, I think, to have Jim on board. And, I think really it's one of the most important roles of the club, because we need this sort of commercial growth to make sure that we don't find ourselves in perilous financial positions like we did last season towards the end, where we saw the players depart for a variety of reasons, a lot of them financially. So yeah, looking forward to seeing Jim sort of get really in amongst it properly. He'll be around on the match day doing a few things. We've got some exciting sort of match day announcements to come as well over the next couple of weeks. So yeah, hopefully plenty happening, and improving the commercial growth and also improving the match day experience as well around the club.
Indeed. Let's hear from now the Whitby Town new commercial manager, Jim Cairns, who spoke to Liam earlier this week.
Well, Jim, first of all, thank you for joining us on this week's edition of the Codcast, and of course, welcome to the club as commercial manager. So I think really just to start off, for those of people who don't know you, perhaps, can you sort of just tell us a little bit about your background and career up to date?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, well, I'm 58. I recently retired from a large American company that I worked for 25 years. I've got a family. I've got 3 kids. I've got 2 grandkids, and so yeah, career-wise, I've worked, as I said, for a large American company. I was senior vice president, looking after the whole of their European operation. So I literally looked after the entire business, working across various different countries with different teams, and yeah, so that's kind of my background.
Yeah, and some people probably won't know, but you've actually been coming to Whitby as a fan for a number of years now. But so I suppose really, what would you say sort of attracted you most to the commercial manager role at the club specifically?
Well, I think the club has got so much potential, and ultimately, I love Whitby. I love its history and character, and I think that sort of continues through into the football club. Working with the club for a very short period of time as I have done, I can already see that the supporters absolutely care about this club, and there's a lot to build on. So, like I said, I've always loved Whitby, and my wife and I are actually moving here in probably 2 to 3 weeks. So yeah, it's a chance to be part of the community and not just work in it.
Yeah, and I'm sure, like you mentioned there, you probably know quite a few of the supporters, perhaps less so the people sort of involved, behind the scenes. But what were your sort of first impressions of this new, ultimately it's a very new board and committee being developed?
Yeah, I mean, very early on, it was very, very apparent that there's a passion around the club. Everybody genuinely wants the club to succeed and move forward. And there's a real willingness across the whole team that I've met that wants to do things properly, which is great to see. And I'm just glad to be part of it from a very early onset, really.
Yeah, and you've already mentioned earlier in the interview about sort of the town as a whole and the history behind that. But what do you sort of feel are the biggest opportunities that the Whitby Town can really sort of build on from a commercial perspective?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest opportunity for me is making Whitby Town a club that businesses want to work with, want to be involved with, locally, regionally, and maybe beyond. It's not just about sponsorships; it's about creating partnerships. I mean, that's what I've always done in business. It's all about partnerships and having the sustainable long-term partnerships. So yeah, that's kind of the biggest opportunity that I see.
Yeah, and of course, people may have seen a few sort of commercial bits happening from social media and website and things like that. So you're being busy already in the background, but what would you say sort of are your main overall priorities for your first few months involved with the club?
Yeah, I think the first few months, Liam, I want to meet all of our partners. I want to talk to local businesses. I want to understand what's already going on. I mean, ultimately, I'm going to listen to people. I'm going to listen to partners, people, fans. And then it's about putting together a clear plan all together. I don't do things unilaterally. I like to collaborate. I don't work in a silo. I want to work with the team. I want to get some early wins. That's a big thing for me. Get some early wins on the board, and then basically just demonstrate how organised we are, and just maintaining a real positive, moving forward with purpose attitude.
Yeah, and we may have some, business owners listening in to this week's episode or finding to elsewhere. But what would sort of your message be to any businesses who sort of on the edge, considering partnering with the club, but perhaps I need a bit of swaying?
Ultimately, I like to get in front of people, so I'd ultimately just say, look, let's have a chat. We're not looking for one-off deals. We want long-term partnerships that genuinely help, that generally mutually help both of us grow. Through visibility networking, just being part of the community is a big deal. So if a business wants to strengthen its local presence, I think Whitby Town, with the footfall we've got and the base we have and the iconic brand, it's the place where I think businesses should look to.
Yeah, and like you mentioned there about the community, we've had a couple of sort of initiatives getting set up now in terms of working in the community, but I suppose really for yourself, they're sort of just trying to now tie them over, not just sort of look good outside. It's actually sort of trying to make it work for both sides. And again, I suppose community partnerships rather than just business partnerships.
Exactly right. Yeah, I think it's a chance to build something that feels properly rooted in Whitby, but still very ambitious. And if we get it right, the club can become a real hub for local businesses and community activities. So that's kind of the plan. We've got big plans already to expand on what we're doing in a big way. So yeah, really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and what sort of role as well do you feel that commercial growth will play in terms of supporting success on the pitch as well? Because obviously what happens off it is there to ultimately pay the players and the management staff. But do you feel that longer term, perhaps the commercial success really can lead to success on the pitch as well?
I think it's intrinsically linked, Liam. So, a strong commercial side of the club provides stability. The more we grow commercially, the more we can invest in facilities, infrastructure, and the playing squad itself. It's the foundation for everything that happens on the pitch, really. So they're equally as important. The team's got to perform well, but the commercial side have got to perform well to provide that background and that support for the team. So, yeah, it's intrinsic.
Yeah, and just last couple of questions, really. I suppose this one, it's kind of the $1 million question, if you like. But what would you say sort of excites you the most about the future of Whitby Town?
What excites me most? There's a few things, probably. But the chance to build something, I feel that there's a real big opportunity there, something that's really rooted in Whitby. So, yeah, it's being part of that community. I think that's a really important key part of the commercial role, involving the community and getting them more involved in the club and us getting more involved in the community. So, yeah.
Yeah, and then just finally, really, to all of the fans listening, what sort of would be your message to them in terms of how, supporters of Whitby Town can get involved with supporting the club's commercial ambitions?
Yeah, well, ultimately they already do. They turn up week after week, and I've met some of the fans and absolutely incredible stories and the history and so just by turning up and supporting the club, the sponsors, spreading the word, they help create that environment, and they all want to be part of it. So when the supporters are engaged, the club becomes more attractive commercially. So everybody benefits. But yeah, it's a big deal.
The Codcast, all things Whitby Town FC.
That's Jim Cairns, a new commercial manager at Whitby Town. I know the club have been working hard, getting involved with the community, Liam. I think we've already seen some donations to local causes lately.
Yeah, so there was one that me and Paul touched on briefly in last week's episode about donating £750 to Whitby School. But yeah, basically this is the sort of the official launch, I guess, of the Whitby Town charity was set up, which is called Whitby Town FC in the community. So essentially, it's a pot that supporters can donate to. We can get grants for it, and that's going to be designated to, not to bankroll the club or anything like that. It's literally a pot there to put into the community, really. So yeah, the £750 donation we made to Whitby School first and foremost. That's to support a trip to Cambodia that a lot of their students will be going on. And the reason this extra cost has come about essentially is I think they had it all booked to go from Manchester. Unfortunately, the initial flight was cancelled, so had to reschedule. So for such a big group, having to go down to, I think Gatwick it is now instead, it's had a lot of extra expense on, which, if you can't get to the airport in the first place, then your trip's already off to a bad start. So yeah, supporting things like that, just, £750, it may not seem a vast, a massive amount of money for such a scheme, but also that's what's helped it ensure it goes ahead. So yeah, a lot of things in the work here for this new charity. It's being set up. A lot more community work to be going on as well. But that's kind of the start of it, really. And essentially, yeah, once it, over the coming weeks, we'll sort of start getting information about how supporters can donate to that, and support, the community work as well, because that's massive. And I think it ties in quite a bit. I know Jim mentioned it in his interview. The community and commercially, it ties in quite a lot, really, and we've got to be seen to be doing, which we are. We're not just doing it for the sake of it and just getting our name out there. It is because we generally want to re-engage with the community properly and get people supporting the club, and also in return we'll support them with any projects going on. So shortly details have been out about donating to that. But if anyone's sort of got any sort of pressing questions that they want to ask, that it's Graham Hinchliffe running that at the moment. There's also a guy called Andy Hallam who's getting involved with the committee as sort of the charity chair, shall we say. But yeah, if anyone wants to get in touch, go to Graham Hinchliffe. He's now got a club email address, which is graham.hinchliffe@whitbytownfc.com. So yeah, if anyone wants to drop him an email for information, then feel free to do so. Hopefully a bit more on that at the AGM as well, which supporters haven't been able to make the meeting. The minutes will be published on the website as well at some point over the coming days. So plenty more that people will find out about the charity, the Whitby Town SC Community Trust. But yeah, really good start for that, and I think it's what the club needs if we're sort of being serious about trying to properly re-engage the town again.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. I noticed there's already a partnership in place involving use of the canteen.
Yes, that as well. So that's a bit of an interesting one, a bit of a niche one, shall we say. Noticed it a few months back. I think there was a post on Facebook that came up basically saying, has anybody locally got a commercial premises we can use? So we got in touch as a club and said, look, we've obviously got the canteen, which is used on a match day, and in return we're basically being able to set up a partnership with a new company called Tees Tiffin, which essentially is just an Indian takeaway, which will operate directly out of the main canteen at the ground. And what I really like about this, the sound of it, it's a very small menu each night, but it's because ultimately everything's cooked fresh, and people can place their orders in advance, so it's sort of all cooked to order essentially. I think it was just checking their Facebook page for exact details how it is to order, whether it's through the page or possibly an app as well. I think I've seen mentioned, but essentially, it ties in with the commercial side of things. Obviously, there's going to be a bit of extra revenue for the club from that. And just to clarify, it doesn't take away from the club on match days at all. The canteen will operate as usual. Essentially, so on a Saturday, there'll be a handover where you'll have Jenny and Julie or whoever's helping out in the canteen. They'll be doing their job as usual. And then, the company Tees Tiff, and they'll sort of come in afterwards to start serving in the evening. So essentially, it's open every night, barring Tuesdays, which obviously we have to say that we can't because that's our midweek night for fixtures. But yeah, another exciting project we've got going on, really. And I think as well, we've put suggestions forward about tying in with Turnbull's Bar. Now it's back under club management with the takeaway. See if we can sort of do anything there. Maybe something like a curry night every couple of months or something like that. So another sort of very niche one, but I think certainly exciting plans. And we've got to wish them all the best, all the success they can have with this, really, because once it's worked for the club long term, but hopefully as well it can really benefit the local community, because I think it has been very well received so far.
Indeed. If you are listening ahead of Friday's AGM, Liam, what are the details people need to know?
So it starts at 6:30 in Turnbull's Bar on Friday evening. So we'll obviously have speeches from Ivor Hober, the chairman, Paul Walker, the secretary, will be doing his bit as well. He'll sort of be primarily chairing the meeting, I imagine. Ivor, he likes his speeches, maybe doesn't particularly keen on chairing the meetings as such. We'll obviously have the accounts as well, which have been prepared by Craig Moff, the finance manager. However, he's actually unable to attend this evening, unfortunately. That's for sort of family reasons. So, the report will be done. That will be presented by Paul Walker, the secretary as well. And there are also any questions that were requested to be sent over to Paul directly prior to the meeting. And that's not the club trying to hide anything. It's just essentially give people a chance to give the best possible answer to those questions. So I think a few of those has come in. We'll also have, officers getting put up for election, which we have to do every year for the key roles. And I think as well also be information on nominations for the vice chair role, which has been advertised recently. Hopefully supporters in attendance and the members can really have a positive say. And yeah, sort of, really kickstart this new era of Whitby Town going into pre-season.
Well said, Liam, and thank you very much for joining us alongside my other guest this week, Jim Cairns, the new commercial manager at Whitby Town, and Lee Bullock, of course, the Whitby Town manager on the playing side as well. So thank you everybody for listening. We'll be back next week with all the fallout from Saturday's game. Remember, it is the start of pre-season, our first friendly at Mask United Saturday from 3 p.m. We've got full commentary on This Is the Coast Extra with Liam and Paul Connolly. They're calling that one for us. So until next week, it's bye for now.